Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bringing you set 3 from this MST Group 10. This is going to be the winner's match. It's going to be Mind, who defeated Jangbi, and Ruby, who defeated Action. So we're going to have a little TVT going on here. It's a pretty cool intro we got going on there for the MSL. Definitely pretty cool. I liked it. I think they finally found a sponsor for OSL, so that should get started pretty soon. I think that's called like My OSL or something. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's like I think it's called My OSL, something like that. And they're doing something different for the OSL, where they're actually bringing in, they're having like regional tournaments. Like I think they're basically LAN tournaments, where basically anyone can join, and then so they're offering an opportunity for amateurs and semi-pros to actually try and get into the OSL, and pro teams will be able to scout those as well, which I think is very cool. Of course, those people that are in those kinds of tournaments will be, they'll have a lot more steps to go through to try and get there. Looks like this is going to be Ruby in the bottom left in blue. I believe, let's get a look at the, yeah, there he is. There's the Air Force Ace, Ruby. And then in red is going to be Mind. So TVT, and I believe this is Empire of the Sun. That's what it looks like. And yeah, I mean, it's a big map. We're gonna have a lot of bases to take. TVT, of course, you see a lot of games where you don't see a whole lot of action after the first push, whether one person goes one factory, whether sometimes you'll see the second factory before the command center, and then there's usually a little engagement then, and then it just always degrades into let's make mini tank lines and take 16 bases and fight from there. And when I say 16, I mean like 4. And I expect that we'll see something like that in this game. Yeah, I'm not going to see any 14cc, maybe. There's some time for 14cc, but I don't think either of these guys is going to go for 14cc. That's something that risky. And of course, there's no forward Raxes either. So this should be a pretty standard, pretty longer term game. TVTs tend to have that in them to get longer. Should be pretty fun. Other news for Air Force Ace. I don't know if you guys heard about this. It's actually kind of old news, but it's very possible you missed it because I actually forgot about it. But Kanata is actually going to be joining Air Force Ace, I think, in another 1 or 2 months, something like that. He should be joining Air Force Ace, so that will give Air Force Ace another decent Terran player with Ruby that they'll be able to play a little bit. And yeah, there's a barracks, and I think that's a barracks for Ruby as well, yeah. So nothing special going on here. Very mirror builds exactly, and it'll be a matter of well, actually no refinery yet for Mine, so he's probably going to go 1 rack state into expansion, whereas Ruby is going to throw down a factory. So there we go. We got the first change in the build order already, a little bit earlier, but so this should be pretty interesting. And yeah, first scout going out for Mind as well, going out there pretty early. He wants to know if there's a factory or if there's some kind of a rush coming his way that he's going to have to defend with this 1 rack CC. I'm kind of actually surprised to see it, just because if he scouts it out and there is a rush coming, there isn't really a whole lot he can change at this point. So I would have thought he would want to keep that SCV in just for that much more mining. But that's just my personal opinion. But he wants to get the scout out, which of course can't help for sure. The barrack's not even making a Marine right now, finally making a Marine. Ruby coming in here with an SCV as well, going to scout this out, and is now just going to try and harass this factory. And I think we're going to see Ruby, as soon as that factory completes, I think we're going to see him going for a pretty strong push to try and even this out, or he will fall behind pretty significantly economically if he doesn't do something like that and take advantage of the fact that he's got that early military advantage. And Mine's still going to the top left now, so he's going counterclockwise. It's going to take him a while to scout out what's coming his way. He's got no idea. I mean, it could be a 14cc coming his way. It could be a 2 factory. It could be raids. He's got no idea. Mine finally throwing down a factory, and Ruby actually going and throwing down his command center as well. So going to try and not fall too far behind. And he is producing vultures, so I think he will go and try and be harassive, see if he can try and pick off some of these Marines, and if he can generate enough of a hole in the defenses, he could try and get us some SCVs. But it looks like Mind is very well prepared for this. Going to throw down on Bunker before that vulture even comes close, so the vulture won't be able to really do any damage to the to the Marines. Vulture probably can't even. I don't even think the Vulture can do a run by in that situation. Yeah, that barracks landed. I don't think a run by is even plausible. So Mind should be able to do this very, very safely and not gonna have any problems. And Mind and Ruby actually going to the third base of Mind and not seeing the SCV, not getting the complete scout out. Mind kind of hiding the SCV in the little corner over there. Very, very tricky. I don't know how he knew that Vulture was going there, but that was genius, moving that SCV into the little corner, and he's going to be able to keep that SCV alive and get that base up a little bit earlier than normal, and Ruby's not even going to know about it. Ruby's going to have, not a contain, but he's going to have vision of the front of Mind's base, and so he's going to think that there is no SCV out there, and he's going to think that there's no base to worry about, but there will be at some point if he wants to. Where's Mind going with this SCV? Looks like he's still wandering around. I thought he was just going to try and take that base. Maybe he'll try to hide one. I think this is a great opportunity for him with this SCV to go try and take a hidden base that Ruby's not going to know about. Instead, it looks like he's going to use this for scouting purposes, which it works. We do have a starport coming up with a control tower and an academy as well, so we will have scan, and we'll see whether this is for dropship or if it's for cloaked raids. I expect it to be for dropships, but cloaked raids are definitely still plausible. I have seen that before, where you get the early CC and then go into raids a little bit later. We will see what this is really for, and Ruby preparing for it just in case it is raids. He is preparing for it with the armory and the academy as well. So he will have his scans. He will have a couple Goliaths out as well to defend against this. That SCV from Mind barely getting into the base, not seeing too much, just seeing a couple of vultures, so not a whole lot of information coming from there. And now Mind is a little bit contained because he is only working off that one factory, which came up much later than Ruby. So he definitely is far behind on the ground forces if there was an engagement right now. So Mind's just going to have to play very, very defensively. And Ruby throwing down a second machine shop, so he's going to try and build up his tank count now. He does have those vultures out. They do have mines, and now he's going to try and support them with some more tanks. And it looks like Mind is completely okay with not having much ground troops. He's just going to use his dropship to take the 6 o'clock base, which gives him double gas. Remember that the 6 and 12 o'clock position, there are 2 gases at each of them, but rather than having the normal 5,000 gas in them, there's only 2,500. So they don't last as long, but you do get all of the gas out faster, which is really, really important. Basically counted as a double gas expansion for at least a little while until we get into the later game. Once it does eventually dry up, it really does count as a double gas expansion because you just get so much gas out of those island bases. And we do have a wraith coming out here trying to pick at the marine, and just barely survives. It took a bunch of Goliath hits, has just like 6 HP or so, barely survives for Mind, and that's going to hurt a little bit. He's going to have to repair that, and he's going to lose a lot of scouting information. And Mind setting up his anti-contain, I guess we'll call it, to try and secure his ramp and not allow Ruby to get too much pressure on him. Ruby also taking his third base at the lower 9. Now that's only a single gas expansion. Remember, the islands are the only ones with the double gas in this on this map. Nice mine clearing with that marine. Very nice mine clearing. Clearing out most of them on that top side. Looks like Ruby's just going to take the other opposite ridge. And here comes some vultures as well. Going to try and join in the fight. Going to try and add in just a little bit of damage. And will he get the tank? He does get one tank, Ruby does. Does not get another, it doesn't look like. Looks like they're just going to set up their tank lines and go from there. And Ruby actually losing another tank there. Has to be careful. I think his tank count is actually quite low. I think he's only got a couple tanks left, whereas Mine's got 4 or 5 there. Yeah, it looks like he's got about 5 as well as a dropship, so Ruby's got to be a little bit careful at this point until he's able to reinforce with more tanks. He's going to have to definitely watch out. We do have a starport out for Ruby as well, so he's going to start building up his dropship fleet. And first gas going down for Mind at the 6 o'clock position. And still continuing with these tank lines. This is actually a pretty difficult position for Ruby. I'm surprised he's sticking to it because he's gonna. Oh, Mine's gonna go off. Oh no, both those tanks. So Mine goes in for the drop with 2 tanks, thinking that he could just clear out that line. And Mine's come in and blow them both up. So one tank goes down for Ruby, but two go down for Mind in that little exchange. So that's a cool little play there. That's why you don't drop on top of Mind defended tank lines, because your drops get completely decimated. You have to drop like a singular Goliath or like a Marine or something like that, which you just usually don't have a lot of. And to do the drag, usually when you go dropship play, it's pretty hardcore dropships, and you really fill them up and you drop hard. You don't drop light. It's not like Zealot bombs or something like that in PvT. Or, if you're playing ZVT, Ultralist bombs, which I think are hilarious. Science facility coming up as well, so we'll have the second upgrade for Ruby being well timed here, and I expect that Mind is in the same boat. And look at that, Ruby actually has two starports going, neither of them with control towers, so he's going for a Wraith build. He's going to try and catch these dropships, and if he's able to do so, that will be a very, very big advantage for him. We saw that in the Winners League playoffs between, what was that game? Just a few days ago when I casted it on Fortress. That first game, Sack and Lita. If you when Sack got a pretty large, just slowly built up a pretty large Wraith force and took air control, and even though Lita had the dropship, he was struggling to really move around the map. And now we got another engagement going on in the middle. This time Ruby looks like he's got better position and more tanks, but Mind comes in with 3 dropships and is going to drop all over the tank line, and what looked like an advantage in terms of numbers just completely turned around, and Mind got a huge victory there. Really cleared out the entire forces of Ruby that were out in the middle of the field, as well as blowing up that barrack, so no more factories can go down. He's only going to have these 3 factories, and when you're working off of 3 bases, 3 factories and 2 starports is, I don't know if that's enough. Probably you can use all your gas, I imagine, but I don't think that you're going to go through all your minerals. I think you're going to be stockpiling a little bit. At least, maybe not, but unless you're producing tanks and wraiths out of all of them, but usually, you want to mix. So Ruby's got to be on the defensive here. He's gonna have to establish his position on his long ridge right now. He doesn't have a whole lot of tanks to do it because he's invested in these wraiths. These wraiths are gonna be quite effective. He's gonna have to find a way to get rid of the Goliath and then pick at the tank counts. It's gonna be a matter of how long can he wait before revealing the wraiths will determine how efficient they will be at killing Goliaths. Looks like we actually have a whole other round of Goliaths being produced by Mind, so I don't know if Mind saw the wraiths, or if he just has this sort of intuitive thought that there could be wraiths coming his way, but that's going to really, really help him out if he can get those into the front and join the fight. The dropships are moving across the map towards the 9 o'clock position, and they're going to try and probably sweep down. And he's going to have to watch out because the wraiths are going to go follow them, and they do drop on top of this turret, so not going to be able to go in right quite yet. And this is going to be tough for Ruby to defend here, actually, because Mind's going to have that ramp to sit on top of. So while Ruby can probably pick off the tank that's on the bottom, it's going to be a spot that's going to be difficult for him to clear out, and this danger is going to be ever present for this base. Ruby unsieging here. Is he going to back up or is he going to go forward? I think he should probably back up. Ruby with these wraiths trying to find the dropship, and he's already missed them. The dropships are already too far home. Will he be able to get any? He might, but there are Goliaths in play. He's got to cloak up his wraiths. He doesn't have cloak, I don't think. And he's going... The dropship's picking off 3 of them and 1 more left. It looks like he's going to get... No, he's not. He lost all the wraiths. So Ruby, I don't know what you were doing, Ruby. That was crazy. No cloak going in there, diving after those dropships. I don't know if that was really wise, losing all those wraiths. I mean, you have hurt the mobility of Mind, but really Mind still has more units on the ground than you do. So don't know if that was really worthwhile. It does look like Ruby has managed to get a position here to destroy this group that's been harassing his lower 9. It's going to help him out a little bit, but yeah, still he doesn't have a ton of forces. He does have a bunch of tanks here, so we'll be able to establish a tank line, but he doesn't have the supporting forces that you normally like to see for those tanks. Luckily, without dropships, just a strong tank line can work, so maybe that's the idea of Ruby right now. I can just get a strong tank line. Now that he's blown up the dropships, he can just use pure tank and not have as many support units, which is kind of the position we're at until those dropship fleet gets rebuilt. Ruby gonna have to come back here and defend this lower 9 again from these same units that Mind had there for a little while ago. Looks like they're slightly reinforced, but basically the same group of units that dropped in. And finally going to clear it out. It looks like, yes, he is going to be clearing it out. And Mind actually sneaking the top right base. I didn't even realize this, but there is a Vulture Mine there stopping that command center from landing, so that's going to be a little bit annoying. He's probably going to have to scan and kill it with SCVs, I imagine is what he's going to do. Just because trying to get units there is going to take too long. Hopefully he notices before his SCVs start going home, and he has not noticed. There we go. Finally blew it up. Actually brought vultures back in order to do it, and finally able to land that command center. So Ruby knows about this. He has that mine over there, so he knows about this, knows exactly what's going on, and Ruby's going to counter by putting up his own base, and he'll be able to take the upper 9. And it looks like he's just going to try and slowly crawl over the map clockwise, whereas mine is kind of taking bases in weird positions. You know, taking the 6 o'clock, which is the island and bases, then skipping the upper 3 and taking the top right main. So being a little bit more unpredictable in his base taking strategy as opposed to Ruby. He's trying to be pretty methodical about it, but you know, watching Ruby tends to be pretty methodical play. I think methodical is definitely a good term to describe him in terms of his StarCraft play. Very strategic, very methodical. I like it. We have 3 dropships here for both players. Actually, should both be loaded up and ready to drop or counter drop on top of each other. We'll see what happens. And the dropships kind of seeing each other. There are a couple of Goliaths here for Mind as well that can be brought into play, and dropping off those whole forces. And I think Mind's gonna lose, or Ruby's gonna lose, as I just don't think he's got enough tanks and support. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he just doesn't have as many units left. Mind should win this and keep Ruby's tanks here contained pretty well. And oh wow, the tank not quite in range of that other tank and shooting at the SCV or missile turret instead. So a little unfortunate for Mind, not going to be able to kill that quite yet. Double gas at the 6 o'clock position, so he's swimming in gas right now. Mind is with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gas, provided he took the top right. 6 gas actually, as long as until the double gas mine's out. He's gonna have 6 gas. And yeah, he's gonna be able to produce a lot of tanks if he wants. He's gonna have a lot of gas. Now the first person view of Ruby, it looks like we've got, I can't tell the minerals, over 1,000 definitely, and virtually no gas right now. So that's the situation we're at. And he's going in for a drop on this top left, and a counter drop coming in with 5 dropships. So that's a big counter drop coming in by Mind, with a lot of Goliaths as well, mixed in with the tanks. And they are going to be able to clean this up, actually picking off a dropship, maybe picking off a second dropship as well. Here's a first-person view of Mind, and Mind not macroing quite as well. Looks like he's got, I can't tell for sure, I want to say maybe 2k, 1k in the bank right now, so not macroing quite as well as Ruby has. But this attack is going to be really effective, and is going to shut this whole base down. Might even kill off the command center if he's able to focus fire well enough. And it looks like most of the forces for Ruby have gone down. He's trying to bring in some reinforcements by ground, but this command center is really at risk. Ruby trying desperately to save it, bringing in forces in, streaming them in, but Ruby's just losing initiative. He's fighting from the low ground, and he needs to bring these in by dropship and drop on top of those forces. These tanks just from the low ground are not going to be effective enough to protect this base. And I think we're getting to the point where we can officially say that Ruby is in trouble in this game. It's been pretty close for a while, but Mind is definitely in a good spot, and Ruby is having some struggles, that's for sure. Ruby trying to take the 12 o'clock base, and Mind is taking the natural to the top right, as well as scouting out that 12 o'clock base that was taken. So that's going to be a concern for Ruby, and Ruby loses the dropship that was used to take that base. 6 dropships, I think that is. So they are going to be able to clear this out. It's a matter of how many dropships are lost. Oh no, he only sends in the 1 dropship, so he's not really going to lose anything. And all these turrets that were invested, they will all die. Everything will just die up there that he invested in, and is not going to do much of anything. Mind taking the high ground position again from another angle on Ruby, and this is just so tough for Ruby to break this, and GG coming from Ruby. Mind's going to advance into the MSL, advancing 2-0 out of this group, beating Jangbi, and now Ruby's going to proceed to the finals match, where he will play the winner of Action and Jangbi, which will be forthcoming. So that was a pretty good game, but I will see you guys all in the next match. It's going to be Action versus the great Jangbi, and that will be coming up right now.